Why do we have this inner critic? Survival in a social species, humans, is dependent upon our connection and our closeness with one another. It's even a deeper need for us than water and food, because it's the way we get water and food, right? So our entire central nervous system is wired for one thing, and that's to maintain closeness and connection, regardless whether these people are abusive or not. So what happens growing up when we have a need? For instance, we didn't need for milk and we ask for a bottle, and mom perceives that as imposition, and a mom turns to us, to a child, and either verbally or with their body language disapproves of this. That will be perceived as a pushaway, and that pushaway is immediately causes the child to go into a state of fight or flight. So the child starts panicking that her survival is threatened because of her closeness is threatened. And this is such an acute, painful experience for a child to have. So what happens there is a coping mechanism takes over, and fragmentation is the mechanism for shame. So what I mean by that is shame is not actually an emotional state. It's of course there's emotions secondary byproduct to shame, but what shame is a biological effective reaction. What happens is when that happens as a child, you push part of yourself away in order to stay connected to the adult. So why do we do this? Because of triangulation. Experience closeness because you push something of yourself away. So when your primary caregiver gives this disapproval, you try to establish a sense of closeness with them by turning against your part of yourself that was asking for milk. So you're triangulating against yourself. But that's what shame is all about. So shame is I'm pushing a part of myself away, creating that internal fragmentation. We can't cut ourselves away literally, but we can do this with our mind. This is where we fracture into different parts of our personality. So the part that wants milk is being pushed away, and the part that wants to buddy up with mom is there. So that way we are coping with the rejection that we're seeing in the external world by rejecting that part in ourselves in the internal world. That's where the inner critic is born. The inner critic is a coping mechanism. And it's so painful to receive this negative feedback that we're getting from the people that we love, especially if your life depended on them. So the inner critic's job is there to disapprove of the need that I have, like the need for milk.